Welcome to EDDBUD Running Shoe Reviews. Welcome whoever you are. I've got a new episode of Running Shoe Yay or Nay for you today. Lots of new foot protectors to speculate on. This is a show where I talk about upcoming or soon to be released running shoes and whether I'm going to be picking up a pair for review or not. Maybe I'll leave them on the virtual shelves for some other shoe tuber, a little bit like when you go to the supermarket and look at the avocados. Some picks for today are, we've got a close-up peek of the SC Trainer version 2 from New Balance. We got a road pavement punisher in the form of the Torin 7 from Ultra. In pursuit, we have a new shoe from Scott and a 5th iteration of the SOLARBOOST, now with a lightboost midsole material. Let's get to it, yay or nay time. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. It helps out a lot. You know it makes sense. First shoe up today is from Ultra. It's the Torin 7. I believe this is set to drop in June and looks to be a road and pavement long range shoe. Ultra toying with that max cushion market here, with a higher stacked midsole of the Ego Max foam. Ego Max. It kind of sounds a little bit like somebody who's got a little too big for their boots. 30mm of stack in both the heel and forefoot, of course, because we have a zero drop here. I guess in theory they could go all out on a 40mm midsole. That would be an interesting shoe. Just a thought. The inner flex grooves on the underbelly of the beast show Ultra refining the midsole, and in a way it's given me kind of ADIDAS energy rod vibes here. You know, where the rods kind of mimic the position of the bones in the foot. That way the midsole can flex perhaps more in tune with the bones and inner workings of the human anatomy. It seems like Ultra experimenting here with a more foot-hugging last in some of the more recent models. I know now they've got 3 different fits, at least to the upper. This one though seems to be more of a standard fit rather than the normal, which I think is that very wide version, or their slim fit options. 280 grams or 9.7 ounces here in the sample size. I mean, that's going to make it about 330 grams in my size. Perhaps we could compare this one to something like the Puma Forever and Nitro, or even the Reebok Symmetros 2. We got 3 colorways coming at you, people. There's a blue and yellow, which is one that comes in 2 different width fittings. The red and white version as shown now, and the standard issue black and white for those perhaps running in more grimy conditions. You know, a good black and white shoe kind of works well for that. I'm amazed I've managed to keep my Pegasus 40 so clean, actually. Completely white colorway, that one. I am doing a bit of an experiment to see just how they kind of shape up over time. I may even throw them in the washing machine and see if it actually does any real harm. That's how far I'm willing to go for you, people. I'm keen to branch out into some different brands, test out some new stuff, keep things nice and fresh. Like a whole tube of Trebor soft mints in a can of Coke. So I think it's going to be a yay on the Ultra Torin 7, a midway sort of max cushion shoe that might be better for my tall beanstick flagpole-like physique. I'm taller and thinner, basically. Shoe 2. Shoe 2 today is from Scott, and this one's called the Pursuit. In fact, I look slightly like this shoe. This one looks to be a more responsive speed shoe, which the company mentioned has their most responsive foam yet, but in a somewhat less stacked setup. Now, I knew that Scott went into trail shoes, but not so much road stuff. The outsole on this one suggests that it's more geared up for road running, with a smoother outsole rubber applied to the forefoot and the heel. There's a mind-bending, sort of magnetised, particle-like upper texture here, mixed of course with that Dayglow style 1990s section at the back. Certainly a striking looking shoe, this one, you have to say, and a really interesting eyelet sort of design there. Something quite out of the ordinary. Use of those 2 slot eyelets to relieve pressure on the foot and hopefully provide the user with some tailored lockdown across the top of the shoe. It's certainly a design that kind of stands out on its own. Reminds me a little bit, I suppose, of the first version of the Nike Infinity Run. And that's no bad thing. Scott suggests the Kinetic Light foam is their lowest weight foam yet, and that rings true here with a sample size reading 250 grams or 8.8 ounces. That means it's kind of more in the daily sort of shoe category. I prefer sort of more nimble offerings really if I'm doing some speed sessions, something like the ADIDAS 7, maybe like the Takumi Sen 8, or that lovely Endorphin Speed 3 from Saucony. All of those shoes come in around sort of 300 or lower in terms of my size, so this one's perhaps slightly bulkier for a shoe for that type of purpose. 8mm drop and $150 means that a discounted Takumi Sen 9 seems like a bit of a better deal right now, for me at least, and the foam's kind of untested here and unknown. Sadly, I think it's going to be a nay for the Scott Pursuit. Perhaps more details will emerge in time about this shoe. Shoe 3. Adidas have updated their SolarBoost model with a 5th iteration. It now has a lightboost midsole material, which I was hoping was going to save some weight and make this a more attractive daily running option. Again, this is a shoe that I think is going to appeal to some and not others. We do have some stability elements here, and not everybody's going to want those. My puny frame will perhaps find the weight of 299 grams or 10.5 ounces in the sample size somewhat terrifying. Though the UK Adidas website has got them down at 280 grams, so you know, pick the one you think is more appropriate. I mean, we had the SL20, the Boston 8, Adios 6-7. They've always been firmer favourites for me. I think this one is perhaps aimed at people after a more consistent sort of reliable cushion. Perhaps the heavier set runners that just want some extra support. I have visions of an even heavier Boston 10 or 11 here. Though, where is the weight here in this shoe? I think the extra materials in the midsole around the heel and lateral and medial sides are there to improve stability if needed, but would simply be excess ballast to Ed Windsock Bud. I used to be a professional flagpole, don't you know? I did even offer my services in the last Olympics as a javelin. True story. 150 big ones here in the UK is a lot of money for this type of shoe these days. I think if you want a slightly softer cushion than the standard Ultra Boost, something with a bit more squash to it, but I don't think this is one I'm going to test out this time around. I think there's a load of other runners out there that will just do it more justice than I. Just simply too much shoe here to give me a reasonable review. Interesting to see a LEP2 system here in the underside of the shoe. Perhaps that will appear in more models of the 3 Stripe brand in 2023. So it's a nay on the SolarBoost 5 this time around. Last up, people, shoe number 4. We have the New Balance FUELCELL SC Trainer version 2. This one has a new refined midsole stack, what appears to be a changed up outsole design. That awful smooth rubber is gone and replaced with a more patterned and pimpled layer, which I hope will improve the grip this time around in this model of the shoe. We still have the huge Energy Arc cutout midsole here to remove some weight, but New Balance have apparently scaled back the cushion on this one. That's quite an interesting move, isn't it? Everybody else is going that way and New Balance are coming back. I felt like you couldn't really feel all of the stack that you had in the SC Trainer version 1. I mean, that was very tall. It never really felt unstable, but it never felt all that hugely cushioned either. The major issue with the first version was the upper, which wasn't great in fairness. It just didn't fit all that well, and it could have done with another couple of eyelets lower down the shoe to create a better lockdown around the foot. It appears though the shoe this time around may be a touch lighter. New Balance reckon at 275 grams or 9.7 ounces for the sample size. I think it's still going to be a sort of mid-range, lower pace shoe for most people. Perhaps if you need to get through those longer marathon training miles. I never really felt the benefit of that carbon plate in the SC Trainer version 1, so I hope the amended stack here will kind of readdress the balance in the shoe, like between the heel and the forefoot, and be something more than just a stabilising element this time around. $180 though, that's quite a hefty price to pay. I think I'm going to probably wait it out and see what initial reviewers make of this shoe before I actually grab it and pull the trigger. It's just not one that's particularly on my radar, and I did pick up the last one when it went to a discount, which wasn't long after it released in fairness. Max stack apparently isn't always maximum fun. So a nay for me at the moment on the SC Trainer version 2, despite the clear attempts here to try and improve on the faults of the previous version. That's all 4 for today. What do you make of these 4 fast foot facilitators? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. I was absolutely over the moon at the weekend. There's a certain Jordan 1 released. It's called The Next Chapter. It's like a Spider-Verse related shoe. I don't think I'd want to draw on the sneakers out for years and years. Absolutely amazed. Almost as Spider-Man, I suppose. that I managed to actually get it this time round. I kind of like shoes that are a little bit different, you know, they stand out, and this one certainly does. So, you know, it goes to show, keep on trying, persistence is the key. It's musical interlude time. When I went over to Boston recently on the plane, I was watching Indiana Jones. Got me thinking about just how great John Williams is as a composer. Apparently it's one of the best things about the new Indiana Jones film that's coming out as well. He kind of always brings the A game to pretty much any film. Home Alone, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, you know, there is in every single one. There's some beautiful arrangements, really strikes a chord. There's certain moments in these films that are made even better by John Williams' soundtrack. But I actually think the end sort of section of Last Crusade is one of the best. The music's so good, it just goes through these different emotions, connected together sometimes just by a few seconds. You feel sadness, you feel joy, and that's what music's all about. Probably one of the most consistent things actually through the whole Star Wars saga is actually John Williams. So yeah, big up John Williams. Go and watch some of those films, they're great. Indiana Jones, you can't lose. Afternoon entertainment at its best. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hope you enjoyed the yay or nay today. Let me know your thoughts on those shoes down here. Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you